Hello everyone, how are you today? Welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stewart. We're looking at Lesson 7 now, right? Let's ride into space. So the next few lessons, we're going to be talking about space. Woo, right? Space, outer space, where aliens and different planets are, right? Well, maybe aliens. In this lesson, we're going to focus on, let's learn about the first American woman to go into space. Who was the first American woman to go into space? We'll find out in this lesson. Let's start first, though, with what do astronauts do in space? Okay, so we're talking about the first woman astronaut, but first of all, what is an astronaut, right? An astronaut is somebody who goes into space. And what do they do in space? Well, we can see a couple of pictures here. This astronaut here is next to a satellite, right? So this astronaut is putting a satellite in space. And that's what that astronaut is, that astronaut is doing there. Let me see if I can, whew, whew. It's very technical, like putting a satellite in space, okay? So this astronaut is floating around, right? Kind of looks like a very high-tech teddy bear, right? Give him a hug. But this astronaut is floating in space, right? He or she is putting a satellite in space. What is this astronaut doing? This is another thing that astronauts do. They explore. They explore new worlds, right? That's really exciting, isn't it? New worlds. Imagine, there are many new worlds out there in space, and astronauts will go there and they will look around. What's on that world? What's there? Very exciting, very interesting science. So maybe you want to be an astronaut someday. If you are, then some of the jobs that you can do, putting satellites into space, are really exciting, exploring new worlds. Okay, let's begin with our vocabulary. Of course, we already talked about this one a little bit. Someone who flies through space, of course we know that. We just talked about that. It's an astronaut. Now, that's a little difficult to pronounce maybe. Let's break it down. Astronaut. Astronaut. Okay, so very quickly, astronaut. Astronaut. That is a person who flies through space, right? They're like in an airplane, but they're not going through air, they're going through space, okay? That's the difference between an astronaut and a pilot. A pilot is someone who flies a plane through air, but an astronaut goes into space. That's important to remember for later. Okay, next one. Number 2, what's going on? There's many dogs, right? Do you like dogs, right? There are many dogs here, and they are practicing and learning. What are they doing? We can say they are training. Training, to train. To train is to practice and learn something. Now that's interesting. What is the difference between teach, right? Right now, I am teaching you guys, right? I am giving you knowledge. Knowledge. So I'm giving you knowledge. I'm teaching you English. But can you teach a dog a language? You can't give a dog knowledge. You have to train the dog. So train, right? Train means to do something. To teach somebody how to do something, right? Like a skill. A skill. When you learn a skill, that is training. Okay? So many jobs require different skills. When you learn how to do something, how to do, right? We can put how here. How to do something, then you are training. You are learning a skill. But when you're just learning knowledge, facts and things like language or math, things like that. That's teaching. So the difference is, right, between training and teaching is just giving somebody knowledge, but training is teaching somebody how to do something. Okay? Of course, it's very common to say, I'm going to teach my dog some tricks. Yes, many people say that, but really specifically, you're training the dog how to do something. Okay? So that's very important, especially for people who are learning jobs. If they have to learn a skill for the job, they need training. Okay, let's continue. Number 3. We talked about this already, right? What was the first astronaut doing before? The first astronaut was putting a machine that goes around the Earth into space, right? We said, what was that? That was a satellite. Satellite. That's a little difficult to pronounce, right? How many sounds? Satellite. 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 Okay? So, very quickly, satellite. A satellite is a machine that goes around the Earth. It's a machine. What does it do? Well, most satellites allow us to communicate with each other. Many TV stations use satellites to reach all over the world. When you use your cell phone and you call somebody in another country, you're probably using a satellite. Your signal goes all the way up, boink, and then down to the Earth again. Okay? So satellites are very important for our modern life. Okay? So a machine that goes around the Earth is a satellite. Let's continue. Number 4, something you read to find out news. What is this? Maybe, do you read this anymore? Or do you just go on the internet? That's a good question, right? But you can still find these, right? On the streets, you know, in the subway, you can see places where they sell these. And what are they called, of course? They're called a newspaper. Newspaper. Now, more and more people are getting their news on the internet. That's true, but there's still something called a newspaper. It's something you read to find out the news. And this is an interesting newspaper. Big news! And this guy's very happy or crazy. I don't know. But anyway, it's newspaper. Okay, next one. 5. To read and learn. Now, to read and learn, we talked about teaching and training, but this is the opposite side, right? This is to study. When you are being taught something, right? And afterwards, you know, you sit and you study, you read a book, you read and you learn, especially by yourself. Many students study at home. Homework is a way that you can study by yourself. Of course, you also study in class with a teacher. When you read and you learn something, you study something. Number 6, a spaceship with wings. Wow, this is really cool, huh? That's a really cool spaceship. That, of course, is called the Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle. And it used to be used by NASA, but NASA doesn't use space shuttles anymore. Too bad. Okay? But anyway, let's practice pronunciation. Space, that's easy. Space. Then the next one, shuttle. Shuttle. So put them together. Space Shuttle. A spaceship with wings. It can fly into space. It can also land by itself. Okay. Next one, 7. A round body that travels around the sun. And of course, they're not so close. That would be very dangerous. But these are round bodies. We know this one, right? That's the one that we live on, right? What is it called? It is called a planet. Of course, our planet is, of course, called the Earth, right? The Earth. But there are many other planets, as you know, around our sun, right? There's Mercury, Venus, then Earth, Mars. Then we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Some people say Pluto, some people say no, Pluto's not a planet, okay? But it's a round body that travels around the sun. That is, all of them, you can say it is a planet. Okay, next one. 8. Traveling through the air. To travel through the air, of course, if you're on an airplane, you are on a flight, right? There are many flights that you can take every day. There's a flight to America. There's a flight to Australia. There's a flight to China, right? So traveling through the air is to take flight. Now that may be a little hard to pronounce. Let's practice. Flight. It's one sound, one syllable. Flight. Flight. But F-L. F-O. Full. Flight. Flight. So be careful with the F and the O. F and O. Flight. Okay? Good. Let's continue. 9. Very good, right? Very good. Your pronunciation so far, I hope, has been very good. It has been wonderful, hasn't it? Wonderful. I hope your pronunciation has been wonderful. Very good, guys. Okay, let's continue. 10. Wow, this is very interesting, right? The area outside the Earth. So, of course, we talked about the planet. We saw our Earth, but anywhere outside, right? Not on the Earth. Outside the Earth, there's a lot of what? What do we call it? We call it space. A lot of space outside the Earth, right? We're just so very small in our universe, okay? Space. How do we pronounce it? P, right? Put it together. Space. 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 Okay? So when we talk about being off the Earth or outside the Earth, we're talking about space. Okay. Next one. Studying and learning about how everything works. So you're studying and you're learning how do things work. So what are you doing? You're studying science. Science is the knowledge about how things work. It's anything. You look at anything. Why is the sky blue? How does this television monitor work, right? Why do I need to eat 3 times a day, right? Why? Right? When we study all these things about the world around us, right? How everything works, that is science. And there are many different fields of science, right? Geology, about the earth. Chemistry, about chemicals. Biology, about life. There's so many things we want to know about our world. Then we study science to find the answers. Okay, next one. 12. Here's a cute doggy, right? He looks hungry, right? Give me some food. Okay, next one. To be in want of something. To be in want of something, you need it, right? This doggy needs food, okay? If you need knowledge, right? If you want to learn something, you need knowledge, right? If you want to play, you need a toy or a game, right? To be in want. If you want something, then you think that you need it. You don't always need it though, right? Just because you want it. Need is also very important, that you need something for life. For example, if the dog doesn't get food, the dog will die. So the dog needs food. It needs water. It needs to play. These are the things we need in life. So want is just, a little bit, it's not that important. Yeah, we want things, but then need is more important. Those are the things we need to live. Okay, next one. 13. To choose. To choose means to pick. Pick and choose is the same meaning. To pick, to choose. You have many sandwiches, different kind of sandwiches. What sandwich do you want? I'll choose this one, a ham and cheese. I'll pick this one. So you pick one thing out of many. Okay, to pick something. Number 14. To get new ideas. We're back to these kids, right? Not science now. It's not science. But to get new ideas is to learn. When you study and you learn knowledge, right? You're getting new ideas. You're learning knowledge. You're getting new ideas in your head. So you are learning. To learn. Okay, next one, number 15. Surrounding something. If you surround something, what do we say? For that, we say it is around something. So, For example, all these people are around the earth. They are around the earth. There are many satellites around the earth. They surround something. There's so many satellites right now around the earth. That's how we can use our cell phones. So around, to surround something. Okay, and the last one, we have a photograph, right? This is an old style photograph. It looks like a Polaroid, right? We say it is a picture. Picture and photograph, same meaning. Take a photograph, take a picture. We say take. Take a photograph. And you can just say take a photo. You don't have to say photograph. You can, but we can say just take a photo or take a picture. So, can I take your picture? Right? I got your picture, right? Can I take your picture? Can I take your photo? Same thing. Okay, that was a lot of vocabulary, wasn't it? Wow, so many new words. Let's see how well you remember those words with this exercise here. We're going to use the words from the box to answer each riddle. Remember a riddle gives you clues or hints, right? We look at the clue, this will be the clue, or we can also say it's a hint, right? A clue or a hint is something that describes something, but it doesn't tell you what it is. It's a clue or a hint, some information that helps you find the answer. Information that helps you find the answer, that's a clue or a hint. Okay? And sometimes we can find clues or hints in the questions too. Let's take a look. Anyway, these are our 8 words, right? We need to find these words. These words are the answers to each riddle. Let's go over the words very quickly. Astronaut, astronaut. Training, training. Study, study. Space shuttle, space shuttle. Satellite, satellite. Planets, planets. Next, flight, flight, right? Remember, flight, okay? Newspaper, newspaper. Okay, good. So those are our words. We need to use these words to answer these riddles. So, first one, I fly through space. That's our clue or the hint. I fly through space. Who am I? Who means a person, right? A person. So, which word up here is a person who flies through space? Which one? Well, if we look at these words, we only see one word that describes a person, and that's this word over here, astronaut. And what does an astronaut do? An astronaut flies through space, right? We talked about that. Okay, so of course the answer here, I fly through space. Who am I? An astronaut. I am an astronaut. Remember to say an astronaut because of a. I am an astronaut. Okay, next one. Number 2, I'm a machine. So now we're looking for, some type of machine. I'm a machine. I take pictures in space. So a machine that's in space and it goes around the earth, right? What am I? So what is a machine that takes pictures in space and, it goes around the earth as it takes pictures? Which one is it? Well, of course, we talked about that before. It would be this one over here, right? It would be a satellite. So I'm a machine. A satellite is a machine. I take pictures in space. Satellites take pictures in space. What am I? I'm a satellite. I'm a satellite. Okay, good. Number 3. We. So we're talking about more than one. We're talking about plural, right? Not one, but plural. Probably has an S on the end, okay, of the word. We are very large. We go around the sun. Okay, so think about that. Very large things that go around the sun. Which one could it be? Well, do satellites go around the sun? No, satellites go around the Earth, right? They go around the sun, but they go around the Earth. The Earth goes around the sun. But the Earth, what is the Earth, right? The Earth is one of these things. The Earth is a planet, isn't it? And as I said before, there are many planets. So planet is the word we're looking for. And there's our S, right? S, we, plural, okay? So what are we? We are planets. We are planets. That's the answer. Okay. Number 4. Do you like to fly? Yes, I like to fly. Oh, that's the hint. Okay, wait a minute. Do you like to fly? I'm in the act. Oh, I'm the act of flying. I'm the act of flying. So the act of flying, we talked about that, right? What am I? What is the act of flying among these words here? Among these words, which is the act of flying? Of course, we're looking for this word here, flight. Flight is the act of flying. What am I? I am flight. Okay, that's the answer to that riddle, number 4. Let's move on. We have number 5. You are not ready yet. That's an interesting clue. What is that about? You have much to learn. So what must you get? Okay? So you're not ready. Maybe you're not ready to do something, right? Maybe you're not ready to perform some type of skill, right? You're not ready yet because you have much to learn still. You still have a lot to learn. You still need to know some things and to practice doing some things. What must you get? What must you get? Well, if we take a look at this, you must get more training, right? So if you're not ready to do something yet, for example, you're not ready to go scuba diving. You're not ready to go hang gliding. Cool, right? You're not ready to go mountain climbing yet. You still need to learn more things about these things. So what must you get? You must get more training. When you get more training, then you can do those things. Okay, next one. Number 6. What's new? I don't know. What's new with you? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's the part of the clue, right? Okay, what's new? What's up? How are you doing, right? Okay, anyway. What's new? What happened? Read me. Read me. That's the clue. Read me to find out what happened. Okay? So if you want to know what's new in the world, what happened yesterday or to even this morning, right? You have to read something to find out. What am I? Of course, we know that, right? If you read something that has news in it, right? The story about what happened, then we're looking for the newspaper. We read the paper, it gives us the news. It is newspaper. What am I? I am a newspaper. I am a newspaper. Okay. Next one, number 7. I can take you to space. Wow, really? That's cool. I have wings. Okay? What? So we're looking for an object, right? What am I? Even though it says I, we're imagining that the object can talk. Many riddles do this, okay? It's a common technique of riddles. So what am I? I can take you to space and I have wings. So what can take us to space? What has wings? Aha, over here, space shuttle, right? The space shuttle can fly us into space. The space shuttle has wings. So the answer is the space shuttle. Space shuttle. Okay, that is the answer. I am a space shuttle. Okay, 8. Sally is very smart. Good for Sally, right? What did she do in school? What did she do in school to get so smart? How did she get so smart? What did she do? What should you do if you want to be smart, right? What should you do? Here it is, study. You should study if you want to be smart you should study, and you will be smart like Sally. Okay? Okay, well that wraps it up for the vocabulary section of this lecture. Let's take a short break. We'll come back and take a look at the reading. Don't go away. Welcome back after the break. Are you ready to learn about America's first woman astronaut? That's what the reading passage is about. But you know, it's also about something else. It's about following your dream and working hard. Let's take a look. As a child, Sally Ride wanted to be an astronaut. It was her dream to fly through space. So, we can see in these two sentences, they're talking about a childhood dream of Sally Ride. This is Sally Ride here. Now, as a child, she wanted to be an astronaut. What do you want to be when you grow up? Many of you have different answers. Some people might say doctor or lawyer or maybe even astronaut. Do any of you want to be an astronaut? That is your dream. It was her dream to fly through space. Fly through space, that's what astronauts do. Astronauts fly through space. Do you dream that maybe one day you can fly through space? Maybe your dream is to be an astronaut. Okay? Well, that's what we're talking about here. Sally Ride, her dream was to be an astronaut. However, there was just one problem. There was a problem that maybe was hard for her about her dream. She wanted to be an astronaut, but there was a problem. What was the problem? At that time, this is a long time ago. You can see Sally Ride, her hairstyle is a bit old-fashioned. This is several decades ago, right? But at that time, all the astronauts in America were men. All of them were men. No women. So Sally Ride was like, okay, right? She was, how can I be an astronaut? All the astronauts are men. I'm a woman, or I will be a woman. Did she give up? No, she didn't give up. And that's good, right? So, when Sally grew up, as she grew up, she studied science. She didn't get rid of her dream. She thought, okay, I'm a woman, so what? I will still be an astronaut. So she studied science. Astronauts need to know a lot of science for their job. So she studied science. She wanted to learn all about outer space. We talked about space before. Space is the area outside the Earth. We say outer space because really there's two kinds of space, right? There's space in this room, right? Space in this room is room. I can move around. There's a lot of space. But when I say outer space, I mean outside the Earth, right? Away from the Earth. And, you know, different planets, different stars, different galaxies, right? Very interesting stuff. She wanted to learn all about outer space. That's the area of science that she studied. Okay, before I said there are many different areas in science, she studied about outer space. She studied the planets like Earth. Okay, Sally also learned about the stars. So when she studied about outer space, she studied about the planets, you know, about Venus, about Mars, about Mercury. She also studied about the stars, not just the sun, which is our star, but many other stars in outer space. She studied about those things. Then something wonderful happened. Something wonderful happened. Something great. Nomu no choyo, right? Sally read in the newspaper that new astronauts were needed. So the government needed new astronauts. They wanted to choose or to get new astronauts. So they put an article in the newspaper. And that's where Sally read in the newspaper about that need. The government needs new astronauts. They put an article in the newspaper. Sally read the article in the newspaper. Okay? So, what did she do? She read the newspaper, then she wrote a letter and was picked. Was picked, right? She was picked. Who picked her? NASA picked her, right? NASA. NASA picked Sally. That's great, right? But that's what it means. Was picked. Who picked her? It doesn't say because that's passive, right? This is the answer. NASA picked her. That's active voice. NASA picked Sally. She was picked. Okay? So NASA chose Sally to be a new astronaut. Wonderful. That's even more wonderful, right? It's not easy to be an astronaut. Okay, she was picked to be an astronaut, but remember, it's not easy. It's not easy to be an astronaut. It's, of course, means it is. And it, when we're talking about some situation, it's very common. For example, it's not easy to study, right? I'm sorry, it's true. It's not easy to study. It's not easy to climb a mountain, right? It's not easy to be an astronaut. This is a very common expression. It is not easy to do something. It means it's difficult. 힘들어, right? It's hard. Okay. Sally knew it would be hard work. Hard work, right? You have to put a lot of effort into the work, right? It's hard work to do something. She had many weeks of training. Training because she needs skills. Astronauts need to know how to do many things. They need many skills. They do a lot of training. During the training, while the training was going on, during training, Sally learned about the space shuttle. So part of her training is to learn about the space shuttle, how it works, what to do. Okay? She also learned what to do, training, during the flight into space. So when she flew into space, she also learned what to do. Look at this picture. Is she laying down? No. In outer space, there's no gravity. No gravity. No gravity. No gravity. V-I-T-Y. No gravity, that means, woo, I'd float away, right? There's gravity keeping me down right now. Whew. Otherwise, if there's no gravity, I would just float up into the air. That's what she's doing. She's kind of floating. See, she's here like this, and another person is kind of going like that, right? Looks like he's going up, but there's no gravity, right? So she's flying into space. She learned what to do during the flight in space. Okay. At last. At last means finally. At the finish. Whew. Okay? At the finish. At last. Sally finished her training and was ready. So at last, finally, she finished her training, then she's ready. She flew on the Space Shuttle Challenger. The Space Shuttle's name, this is the name of the Space Shuttle. Every space shuttle had a different name. There were many space shuttles, and the name of her space shuttle was the Challenger. Okay, that was her first space shuttle. While in space, she helped put out satellites. Remember that picture we saw way back at the beginning of this lesson when I said, what do astronauts do? They put satellites into space. That's what she was doing. Maybe that was her in the picture. We're not sure because she was wearing that suit, right? Okay. She helped put out satellites. These machines refers back to satellites. So satellites go around the Earth and take pictures. Satellites go around the Earth and take pictures. Okay. Sally became the first American woman to go into space. She didn't give up her dream. She did not give up. Remember at the beginning, she said there was a problem. All the astronauts in America were men. She didn't give up. She studied science. She trained hard. So she became the first American woman to go into space, right? Many people think she is special because of this. So many people think, oh wow, she's special. She's the first woman. Yay, great, really good. But all Sally cares about is that her dream came true. She doesn't care about being special. She doesn't think, oh, it's great, you know, the first woman in space. She doesn't care about that. What's more important to her, what is more important is that her dream came true. More important that her dream came true. That's most important to Sally. She's not worried about, oh, I'm a woman, you know, there's another man. She's not worried about that. She thinks, most importantly, my dream came true. And she didn't let the circumstances stop her from making her dream come true. Make your dream come true. That's a good expression, right? Make your dream come true. Came true. So when your dream is realized, you get your dream. Your dream came true. Okay, that's the good expression. That's how to say it in English. My dream came true. I hope your dreams come true. Okay. Let's move on to the comprehension questions, okay? Again, number one, this story is about. What is the whole story about? If you think about just one subject that describes this entire story, what is it? What are the choices? A, training. B, a little girl. C, science. Or D, a female astronaut. Well, if we think about this story, what was this story about? This story was about Sally Ride, wasn't it? It was about Sally Ride. And why is Sally Ride important? Because she was the first American female astronaut. What is that? That looks like number D, right? Letter D. Okay, so Sally Ride is a female astronaut. That's what the story is about, okay? Sure, we talked about training a little bit, right? Sally Ride had to train to become a female astronaut. Sure, she was a little girl at the beginning of the story, but the entire story was not about her childhood. It was about her whole life. C, science. Yes, she studied science. The story mentioned science, but it was about Sally Ride, who studied science in order to become a female astronaut. So this whole story, all of these things are connected to D. The whole story is about D, a female astronaut. That's the answer. Okay, number two. It was Sally's dream. What was her dream? What did she dream? What did she want to do? A, fly airplanes. Did Sally want to fly airplanes, become a pilot? No, she didn't want to fly airplanes, right? She wanted to be something else. She wanted to go further away than pilots do. Okay? B, be a scientist. Well, Sally did study science, that's true, but her dream wasn't to become a scientist. She studied science in order to use her knowledge to be something else, but not a scientist. She didn't want to be a scientist. C, fly through space. Sally, as the beginning of the story said, she wanted to be an astronaut because she wanted to fly through space. So, it was Sally's dream to fly through space. That's the correct answer. That's true, right? So that's what we got there. Okay. To read the newspaper, well, fly through space, that's the answer. It was Sally's dream to fly through space. D, it was Sally's dream to read the newspaper? It was her dream to read the newspaper? That's kind of a silly dream, right? I hope don't have a dream that's so easy. Just pick up the newspaper and read it. That's not a dream. Just do it. Right? That's very silly. So obviously that's not correct. The right answer is C. It was Sally's dream to fly through space. Okay. Number 3. Sally beep for many weeks to be an astronaut. What did she do? Did she study? Did she train? Did she fly? Did she sleep? Well, the story said that she had to learn how to do many things, right? And that means that she trained for many weeks to be an astronaut. Not studied, she studied for many years, and she studied science for many years to become an astronaut. The story specifically said that she trained for many weeks to be an astronaut. She flew for many weeks to be an astronaut? No, that's not correct. She slept. That's crazy. Wouldn't that be nice, though, if you just sleep? Oh, I'll just go to sleep for 2 weeks and I'll wake up. I'm an astronaut. We can't do that. I'm sorry. But it's not exciting. It's better to train. That's more exciting. Sleeping is boring, right? Okay, so the correct answer, Sally trained for many weeks to be an astronaut. That is the correct answer. Okay. Number 4, Sally Ride was beep. What was she? Okay, let's take a look. Sally Ride was a great teacher, the only female astronaut, C, the first female pilot, D, the first American female astronaut. Okay, so which sentence is true or the best sentence about Sally Ride? Let's take a look. She was a great teacher? No, the article, the passage didn't mention anything about Sally teaching anybody, so that's not right. B, the only female astronaut. Be careful here. It says the only. Did the article say that there was no other female astronauts ever? It didn't say that. The article was about Sally Ride being the first female astronaut. Maybe other females became astronauts after her. That's possible. But the story didn't say it. So it's not about the only female astronaut, right? It's about the first female astronaut, right? So only is not correct. We can't use B. C, here we have first, but with this word is a problem, right? The first female pilot. No, she's not a pilot. She didn't want to, it wasn't her dream to become a pilot, so that's not right because of this word here. It's actually the first female astronaut, and that's what we find down here. The first, we got first, and we have astronaut, and of course female. So the first female astronaut, that is what Sally Ride was. Okay, so the answer, of course, is D. Sally Ride was the first American female astronaut. That is the answer to that question. Okay, whew, good. Okay, let's come to our conclusion here. This is a picture again of Sally Ride. She is the first American female astronaut. And what does she have to say? What are some things that she would say to us? Well, first of all, she would say, I wanted to be an astronaut. So that was her dream when she was a child, okay? She might also say, I studied all about science. So she had a dream. This is her dream. How did she make her dream come true? First, she studied all about outer space, planets and other suns, or stars, right? She wrote a letter to the newspaper and was picked for a new astronaut, right? Remember the story in the newspaper, she saw it, so she wrote a letter and she was picked to be a new astronaut. Great, wonderful news. Finally, she can say, I finished training. So she trained to be an astronaut and flew on the Space Shuttle Challenger. Okay, so her dream came true. She became an astronaut and she flew on the space shuttle, which was named Challenger. Okay, very inspiring story. I hope so. We can learn many things about astronauts, but we can also learn, very important, that your dreams can come true. If you work hard and you have some wonderful news, then you can do what you want to do. your dream can come true. And I hope your dreams do come true. Okay, well, that wraps it up for this lesson. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.